All right. So, yeah, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm a member of the team LDSO. I go by the nickname TronFAQ, and I got that dumb nickname because when Tron 2.0 first came out, the game, I created an unofficial FAQ for it, like a frequently asked question list, about troubleshooting and hints and things like that. And so I went by that nickname when I created it, and it's stuck ever since. So I'm stuck with it now. So anyway, so that was like right after the game came out, like back in 2003. So
Oh wow. I was just gonna say, how is it that you first came to hear about Tron 2.0 and first got into like that community back all the way in 2003?
yeah, okay. Well, what happened is that the 20th anniversary DVD release came out in 2002, 20 years after the original Tron released in theaters in 1982.
Hmm.
So I bought that because I was a fan of the film. I watched it when I was a little kid. I didn't remember it very well. I think it was on television once in my area in the time since the film came out. So I didn't really remember it that well. So I was eager to get my hands on the DVD. So I bought that. And on the DVD was an ad for something called Tron Killer App. Now, that was the title that the game was originally supposed to be released under, Tron Killer App, and then they changed it to Tron 2.0 later. But that ad is what got me interested in the game. I was waiting for it. And then I went to a website called Tron Sector. I don't know if you know of it, or if your listeners know of it, but it's been around for a long time, Tron Sector. And on there, I started chatting to people on their forum about the game, and we were all excited waiting for it. And so that's how I ended up finding out about the game and getting it.
Cool. How did you get into like with the frequently asked questions and the troubleshooting? How did that kind of come around?
Okay, well, I noticed like on the official Tron 2.0 website, there was one for the game. It's long gone, unfortunately. I think you can look it up on archive.org. They have a copy of it. But on that site, they had a message forum, and there were people asking lots of questions about the game, like how do I get past this, or I'm having a problem with the game, or whatever. And they had an official FAQ on their site for a few things. But I thought to myself, well, people are asking all these questions, and I know some of the answers to their questions. So it's like, why not create an FAQ, right? So I did that. And then I posted about it on their forum, and people started visiting my FAQ and thanking me for it. And I thought, okay, let's keep this going. So that's how that came about.
Cool. Yeah, I wanted to like know what is LDSO? Like how did that kind of form and how did you get involved with it?
Okay, yeah, about that. Well, when I got the game at first, I didn't play the multiplayer, not right away. It wasn't until much later, but I did start playing it, and this was after they brought out a patch for the game. Now, when the game was released, it only came with Disc Arena and Light Cycle multiplayer modes. So one was, where you're throwing your disc in the arena at each other, trying to knock each other off the rings or derez each other. And the other one was, well, light cycles, which everybody knows from the film, right? Where you're racing around on a grid, leaving a trail, trying to derez each other. And then later with the patch, they introduced a deathmatch mode. They called it derez. And that's what got me interested in playing multiplayer. So I started playing that, and I also played the other modes too. I was never good at Disc Arena. I always was bad at it. Light cycles, I was okay. I could play that all right, but in D-Red's deathmatch, I was actually pretty good at it. So what happened is that I started playing against other players who were already in a clan. They'd established a clan, a multiplayer clan, back then. I don't know if clans are still around, really. I guess they are. But back then, it was a big thing having a clan, like a group of players that would get together and form a team, and then they would go against other teams that had formed.
Hmm.
And I became a part of Living Dead was the name of the team. They called themselves Living Dead. And there was another team called DSO. Living Dead, and Dark System Operators. That was the name of the other one. And DSO specialized in Disc Arena multiplayer. That was their thing. And we were Deathmatch, D-Res. And so we played against each other and we got to know each other and we found that our interests aligned and we complemented each other too because we specialize in DRes, they specialize in Disc Arena. So, and we were both interested in modding the game. Like, we wanted to start modding it. So, we ended up joining forces. We joined together and became LDSO,
Hmm.
LD and DSO, LDSO. So that's how that happened.
Interesting, interesting. And how is it that then like you shifted your focuses from a clan to modding?
Right. Well, we were playing as long as we could in the sense of how popular the game was and how many people were playing. But over time, the number of players started to dwindle, as is the same with every game, I guess. You know, people move on, they lose interest, they want to play other games. And it didn't help that Disney was not very supportive of the game after its release, you know. They just did the bare minimum to support it. And in fact, 3 years after the game was released, they shut down the official multiplayer servers where you could join and play matches. Now, fans could still run their own servers if they wanted to, and they still do that to this day. But the official servers shut down. So because of that, multiplayer, you know, basically it really dwindled. And so, and then because we were already interested in modding, it's like, okay, let's turn our attention to modding now. What can we do with the game? And for example, Existence, who was like the founder, the leader of DSO, he created a bunch of Disc Arena multiplayer maps, and they were really good. They were amazing. They were like the same level of quality as the maps that came with the game, the retail release of the game from Monolith. He was on their level. He could produce multiplayer maps, you know, Disc Arena maps that were just as good as theirs. So that was great. And in my case, for example, I created a little mod for the game that allowed you to use the orange light cycles in single player. Like, you know how there's an extra mode where you can just play light cycles, not like the main campaign of the game, but just light cycle races.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they didn't allow you to play with orange light cycles. And it's like, that's an odd thing. You know, why did they do that? I don't know. So I just made a little mod that allows you to play with orange colored light cycles, right? So it's like, okay, there's my first mod. Now, what can I do next? You know, how can I take it to the next level? And then eventually in like 2005, which is like a couple of years after the game was released, I thought about let's try making like another unofficial patch because there already was one. Somebody created an unofficial version of the official patch for the game, and it made a few small improvements. And I thought, well, let's try making another patch and try to fix things in the game or improve it however I can. And so I set out to do that. And then as I was working on it, I realized, it's not doing much to improve the game. You know, it's like a few little things here and there. It's not really compelling. So I decided to set it aside. I decided not to pursue it anymore. And then about 2 years later, one of our team members who went by the name of the nickname of Zook One, he created multiplayer characters, new models for multiplayer that were based on the Xbox version of the game. I don't know if your listeners are aware, but the Xbox version of the game came out like a year later after the PC version, you know, came out, and it had some extra characters in there. And it's like our team member Zook, he managed to create his own versions of those characters like Sark and the Data Wraith and Thorn and so on. And so once he did that, it's like, okay, maybe we can take that and what I've done, you know, for an unofficial patch and keep building on that. And that's how basically the Killer app mod came about.
And did you have like at this point any experience in modding any other games, or was this literally like your first time?
No, I did do some mods before, but I never released them because I didn't think they were very good. Like I did some modding. Oh, geez, this is gonna date me. I did some modding for Wolfenstein, you know, Wolfenstein
Yeah,
3D, if you know about that game. And then I did some modding for Duke Nukem 3D
yeah.
and for Jedi Outcast,
Mm.
which was a later game based on the Quake engine, Quake 3 engine. And yeah, I think that was it pretty much. And then it wasn't until I started the Killer App mod that I really, you know, try to do something and actually want to release it, so.
With the killer app mod, once it you properly wanted to release it, and like, were you targeting specific problems, or did you want it to just be more of a general, like, this is uh going to improve every aspect, every little detail, every little bug that was kind of left uncleaned?
Yeah, it kind of started off as fixing things, but then as time went on, it's like, okay, can I do this? Can I do that? Where it was in terms of like improving it if I can, like adding new things, like new features and things like that. So at first it was just fixing, but then over time I got more and more ambitious basically and started trying to add new things. And well, as you can see, I don't know if your listeners are aware, I've been working on this for a long, long time. And I guess my ambition got the best of me because I haven't released too many versions of the mod yet, but I am going to release one very soon. Hopefully in time for Tron Ares when it's in theaters. I want to
Hmm.
bring out a new version. It's not going to be as full featured as I'd hoped. I had to scale back my ambitions a little bit, but it is going to be a big improvement over the current version that's out there right now.
Is there any details you want to give about what this version will have, or do you want to like keep it under wraps?
No, that's fine. It's going to fix a lot of issues with the game that have cropped up because of um, improved hardware, more, how can I put it, faster hardware, and also because of changes in Windows and things like that.
Hmm.
So the game still runs pretty well, but it has a few little issues. Like, for example, if the frame rate is too high, it'll start to stutter. The mouse control can be, jittery. It can be a problem if you have a mouse with a high polling rate, like 1,000 hertz. So I've tried to address these things with the upcoming version of the mod, and I also am going to implement a new version of the trail for the classic light cycle. Like the current version has something done to the trail to try and make it look more like the film, but this version, this upcoming version, will actually make it much more accurate because in the original Tron film, the trail there's like a white gradient on it, like that's like behind the light cycle, and it's not in the game. They didn't do it. They wanted to. There are videos showing they had like that white part on the trail, but they weren't able to implement it for whatever reason. I'm not sure why, but I've managed to basically create a white gradient on the trail. And also, they didn't have flashing spokes on the classic light cycle like in the film.
Hmm.
You'd see these flashing spokes, and I've implemented that too now for the upcoming version of the mod. Yeah,
Um,
I tried various methods and I finally found a way to do it. It's kind of a kludge, kind of a cheat, but I guess it works. So
yeah,
I hope people like it.
because with like what you were saying about this light cycle effect, I wanted to ask because in the end credits, it gives you credit for game fixes, new special effects, new light cycle colors, the mod installer and manager, and quality assurance. So I wanted to ask, like, what? I guess you don't have to go like super in depth, but you can if you want to. But what did all of that actually entail?
Okay. When it came to a lot of the fixes, they could be done through modifying the game's files. Like like you didn't need coding knowledge to do it. So for a lot of that stuff, but it took time to figure out because they provided modding tools for modifying the game, but the documentation for it was, well, frankly, I'm sorry to say it was bad. It didn't provide much information. You had to figure things out yourself through trial and error, a lot of it. So it took a long time to figure out some of these things. So in that regard, I was able to do it without coding. But there are certain things now in this upcoming version of the mod that actually required me to patch the game, like the actual binary, the game code. And that took a long time too to figure some of those things out because I did take programming courses and I actually was a programmer, but I never got into like assembly language, right?
Hmm.
And assembly language is where if you don't have the original source code, you have to like modify the game by patching it and you need assembly language knowledge for that. And even now, I'm no by no means an expert. I'm an amateur, but I did manage to figure out some things, how to patch the game to fix a few things that way. So it started out with just, modifying the game assets, like the some of them are just text files where you can tweak values and things like that. So that's easy, but modifying the code was a lot tougher, that's for sure.
I mean, because it sounds like it's not only, it's been such a long term project, but also like such a big learning experience. Have you had any other projects in which you've kind of put what you've learned to use?
No, not so far. This is like the first big hobby project of mine where I've spent a lot of time learning how to do this and a lot of time implementing it. And I did have help in the past. I had people helping me, and I'm eternally grateful for their help. For some of the things that they did, I was not able to do myself. Like, for example, um, I had Kane Xavier who helped me a lot, like with new models and things like that for the game, and Zook One who helped me out with new skins. And oh, and Kane Xavier also did skins. Those guys really helped me out, and their names will be in the credits. I'm giving them full credit for every contribution they made, and I thank them so much for that. But lately, I've been working on it on my own, and unfortunately, my time is limited these days. So that's been part of the reason why it's been taking so long to bring out a new version.
On the website, it says that you did use some form of source code that you acquired from Buena Vista Games, but it was inadequate. So, like, what, I guess, technical challenges outside of it being, a learning experience, so you weren't fully uh, comfortable with it? Outside of that, what other technical challenges did you experience?
Right. They did provide a few assets in their source form, but it was extremely limited. You couldn't do much with it, really, if you were wanting to do something serious, like seriously modify the game. It just wasn't enough. So, when it comes to what I had to do in order to achieve some of the things I've done, I had to take the game levels, like the maps, the levels in single player, and I had to basically load them into a hexadecimal editor, hex editor, and start patching, modifying, bytes in the level in the map to achieve some of the things I wanted to do. And then for patching the game, like the binary code, I had to get a disassembler to disassemble the code and then try and figure out what each instruction was doing. And like I said, I'm by no means an expert at this. And slowly but surely, by poking around, modifying things, seeing what happened, I started to figure things out. So it's taken a long time. The code patching was the hardest part. Modifying the levels with the hex editor, that was pretty tough too. But assembly language, there are some people who are good at it. Good on them. They're amazing people. For me, it was tough, but I was able to make some fixes this way.
Yeah. And I guess how were you even able to get into contact with Buena Vista? Because that's very interesting.
Okay, about that. A bunch of us got together in like, what was it, 2004, I think, a year after the game released. And we sent an email to them saying, what you've released so far for, allowing people to modify the game, it's just not adequate. It's not good enough. So the producer of the game actually replied to us, amazingly enough. We didn't expect any reply. He replied to us and said, okay, let's talk. And I actually talked to him on the phone.
Oh, wow.
He invited me to talk. So I did talk to him. And he said, okay, I'll see what I can do, like releasing more things, assets for the game so that you can use them as a base to work from. And so I waited and I waited and I waited months, never heard back. I think I finally contacted him by email and said, what's going on? And then he called me again and he said, well, I'm sorry, but I can't give you anything. And he
Oh,
said, we're moving in a different direction. We have other priorities and, you won't be getting any resources.
wow.
So, and then that was it.
So, do you
So, and
think,
we were not happy.
yeah, I bet. Do you think then that Buena Vista Games, like they were originally planning to have a much longer support cycle for 2.0, and then I guess I don't know. What do you think it was that made them change their minds?
Yeah, I do believe that they had planned big things for the game, but apparently it didn't sell as well as they wanted it to. Now, here's the thing. There's a difference between selling well and your expectations, right? As far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned. It's like their expectations were sky high. They wanted too much. I
Hmm.
mean, the film had been out 20 years earlier, and okay, they were planning a sequel, but in that passage of time, a lot of people weren't familiar with Tron anymore, really. This would have been their first reintroduction or introduction to that universe, to that franchise. So I thought that their expectations were way too high. And in fact, they apparently even planned to advertise the game in movie theaters, like have a trailer in front of their movies releasing in theaters.
Wow.
But for some reason, they never did it. I don't know why. They
Hmm.
chose not to do it. And that would have helped so much if they had done that. If they'd advertised the game in theaters in front of, like Pixar films and things, it would have attracted so much attention. But they chose not to. I have no idea why. And so, because of that, I don't even know how much it sold. They never released any official numbers. I've had to guess. And my estimate was that it was around 100,000 copies that they sold at the time, which would have been the same number of copies sold as a Deus Ex, the first game Deus Ex.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like considered an all-time classic, and that sold around 100,000 copies. So their expectations were just way too high. So because of that, they just dropped support. Well, they did make an Xbox version. They tried again by creating an Xbox version, but apparently that sold even less than the PC version. So, and
Hmm.
then they gave up on it on Tron 2.0.
I mean, that
They
kind of
also had a movie
seems.
planned.
Yeah, yeah, I read about that. And I isn't
Yeah,
that what Ghost in the Machine ended up being reworked into, the
kind
comic?
of. Yeah, kind of. I think it was kind of um, a version of what would have been Tron 3.0. That's what they originally wanted to call the sequel Tron 3.0, because they wanted to have the game be a lead-in to the sequel. But then they totally changed their minds and went with Tron Legacy, as we all know.
Mm. Which I think in itself feels like a strange choice, just because it's not. I don't know. Films are still obviously, especially at this point, they were a lot more mainstream than video games. So, like
Yeah,
having a film be, I feel like moviegoers would see 3.0. I've only heard of Tron 1. Where was the second
right.
one?
Yeah, I thought it was an odd strategy. It seems they didn't want to commit themselves to a sequel film, so they tried the game first, and then based on that, they would have gone with a sequel following the game. But to me, that was an odd strategy. They should have released the movie and the game simultaneously,
Hmm.
and they're not even doing that now. They did it with Tron Legacy. They released Tron Evolution at the same time as Tron Legacy, then that was a good move. But for Tron Ares now, which is coming out soon, they released the game already, what, 3 months ago?
Yeah.
They released the game before the film, and that
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's strange. It's. I feel like that's kind of strange is like the perfect way to sum up the way Disney has always dealt with Tron, because it's never really been a mainstream thing. It's always been much more of a cult IP, you know.
That's true, yes. When they acquired Marvel and Star Wars, that's when they completely lost interest in Tron. They went with
Yeah.
that because they were planning another sequel. They were going to call it Tron Ascension, right? And they were going to release it in 2015, but then they abandoned it and went, full steam ahead with Marvel and Star Wars instead.
Yeah. Yeah. It's honestly a tragedy, because especially like seeing where Joseph Kaczynski has taken his career now,
Right.
thinking that we could have another Joseph Kaczynski Tron film. It's
I know.
it's heartbreaking.
Right. The thing is, I was thinking to myself early on when they were talking about Tron Ares, the rumors and stuff like that. It's like, will Joseph Kaczynski can't come back? And I thought to myself, probably not. They can't afford him anymore.
Yeah.
He's too successful now. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. It's especially because I was sitting in the cinema watching F1 and I was like, fuck, we missed out on so much.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but I guess, yeah, going back to 2.0, um, I guess talking both about the engine limitations, but also just, you know, the fact that it was a learning experience and that you didn't feel fully comfortable with it yet. Was there any? Because also you talked about how you got a little too ambitious. So, is there anything that
Yeah.
you've wanted to implement but just haven't been able to?
No, actually, I did manage to implement everything I set out to do, but it was really tough, and I needed help. Like some of the things that are going to be in the mod in the upcoming version and another future version, I could not have done them myself. I definitely needed help and got that help, and I'm grateful. Like I said before, for example, to Kane Xavier, he really helped so much, like with the new weapons that will eventually be added based on the new weapons that were added in the Xbox version of the game. Except you'll be able to use them in both single player and multiplayer, not just multiplayer like on Xbox. So I wouldn't have been able to do it without his help, for example. But yeah, it was tough, some of the stuff that was implemented, and that's why it's been taking so long.
I guess of all the kind of additions and fixes and little features you've added, is there one that you're personally most proud of and that you just kind of look back and you're like, wow, that's so cool.
I guess it's the updated light cycle trail on the
Mm.
classic light cycle. Because, oh, and the flashing spokes too. Yeah, because I was disappointed because it was in trailers for the game. You could see it that they were planning to add those flashing wheel spokes and the gradient on the trail to make it look just like in the film. And then when the game came out, they weren't there,
Mm.
and I'm not sure why. But the assets were there for that, you know, like for the spokes, there were like there were textures for that and so on. So I just implemented them again, and I've managed to figure out a way to do it. At first, I couldn't get it to work for a long time, but I found a way. It's kind of a, you know, like I said, a kludge, you know, kludge. It's kind of a hack, but it works. So I'm happy about that.
I think an interesting part of just the modding scene in general is like how often you see companies like Nintendo and Rockstar DMCAing the modders for their work and
Yeah.
threatening them into just completely taking years of work down. Was there ever like the worry or the threat that this would happen with this being a company as big as Disney?
Yeah, a little bit. It definitely crossed our minds. Basically, what we decided to do was a lot of people asked us, well, why don't you make something in a newer game, you know, like use Unreal Engine or something to create something new for Tron or whatever. And we keep coming back and saying, well, the problem is if we do something like that, like if we try to make a new Tron game or experience in Unreal Engine or something like that, we could get a cease and desist from Disney. They could come to us and say, stop it, you know, and then we have to take it down and abandon it. By working on an existing game and just adding on to it rather than creating something completely new, that has a better chance of being tolerated by Disney, I guess you could say. We have never heard from them ever since we contacted them to ask about getting, you know, additional assets like Source for helping us in our modding efforts. Ever since then, we've never heard from them again.
I love that little bit at the end of the credits where you say thanks to Buena Vista Games. Oh, not really. You haven't helped at all. That made me laugh.
Yeah, you know, I slid that in there as a little jab at them. Yeah, sorry, but not sorry.
Yeah, but yeah. So the mod originally released what in 2008, and then it was taken down, right?
Yeah, there was a problem with it. I made a mistake on the single player model. Um, I was trying to make it so that if you go into third person, that the character model for Jet is animated. It's not just like if you went into third person mode, there's a cheat code you can type in to go into third person mode, and Jet would just be just stiff, still, you know, doesn't move. It just flat as a board, basically. So, and I tried to make it that he was animated, and I succeeded in that. But the problem is I screwed up, and the model was a little bit too tall. And there was one point in the game where you have to crouch down to fit under like a small opening and crawl under there. And because the model was a little bit too tall now, you couldn't crouch and fit through, so you got stuck. You couldn't finish the game. So I had to fix that. So I
Right.
did. I fixed it for the next version that got released. And then there were other improvements as well.
And that was what, in 2010?
Yeah, that's right.
Like, what was the community reaction? Was it like instant, or was it more of a slow kind of drip?
I'd say it was pretty instant. Um, a lot of people were liking it, but then when they ran into that problem, we had to withdraw the mod and re-release it a couple of years later. And again, when that happened, they were pretty positive about it. It was pretty instant. So that was gratifying, and that was a great thing.
Hmm.
We were thankful for it.
Did you expect the mod to become as important to the game's legacy as it is? Because I feel like now, when I was getting ready to play it, um, everywhere I looked was saying that with the Killer App mod, that's kind of the definitive way to play it.
Yeah, no, I didn't expect it at all. No, I didn't think it would be that popular. I thought, oh, sure, there's going to be people who will use it. But in terms of being recommended so often, no, I did not expect that at all. I'm glad, I'm happy, but definitely didn't expect it.
I mean, it got to the point where for the video I'm editing, I was trying to, because I had already uninstalled Tron just to save space, but I was trying to look up
Mhm.
gameplay on YouTube without the mod, and I just couldn't find any, so I had to re-download the game.
I actually haven't looked lately. I haven't searched on YouTube, for example, to see how people are playing it. So thanks for letting me know. I actually had no idea that it was that popular.
Yeah, I mean, like I was looking at Reddit boards and everything, like everyone says that it's much better to play it with the mod.
I'm very gratified that they say that. Thank you so much, everyone. And the next version will be quite a bit better because, like I said, some problems have cropped up over the years as time has gone on, and people have faster hardware, higher refresh rates, and Windows has changed a little bit. Windows 11, there are some things that don't work quite the same as I mean, the game still runs pretty well, but there's little things that are causing issues, and I'm going to address that in the next version as much as I can.
I guess this is less about the mod and more about just Tron 2.0 in general. But when Legacy released and ended up kind of like scrapping Tron 2.0 from the canon, like how did that make you feel? Did it make you feel at all like, oh well, this is annoying with it being something you've spent so much time on?
I wasn't so much worried in terms of like whether or not people would still play the game and so on. I felt that it was such a good game that it would stand the test of time, and I think it has. I think it definitely has. But in terms of like the canon, like the lore in the game surviving in any form, yeah, I was disappointed with how they handled that because they could have easily just had Tron 2.0 be a backstory for Tron Legacy. You know, like, oh, this happened earlier in the past of the Tron timeline. Those event, not everything in the game maybe is exactly what happened, but in general, it still applies. It's still canon. And then they went in and said, no, let's strike it from the canon, forget about it. We're starting over. And I didn't think that was the best decision. I think they should have just built on what they had rather than starting over. But hey, what do I know?
Yeah, and it's also strange because, like, when you break it down, like, almost into the bare bones, the Tron Legacy story is extremely similar.
Definitely. There was no way of getting around that when I saw the film. It's like, boy, they sure got inspiration from Tron 2.0, didn't they? Man,
Yeah,
like so many things.
and it's strange because,
Tron
like,
Evolution as well.
yeah, and like the weird part is because I watched Tron Legacy when I was like 7, some shit like that, and
Okay.
I hadn't even heard of Tron 2.0 until maybe a year ago, and then I just played it for the
Right.
first time for the video because I like I'm basing it all around going through everything Tron. And so
Yes.
while I was playing it, I was like, wait, this is literally Tron Legacy, to the point where they even have the Tron Legacy code in the game, which was funny.
Right. Right. That's the hilarious part. If well, I guess we're spoiling it now for people who haven't played, but
Yeah.
at one point in the game, there's a reference to Tron Legacy. The Jet has to find the Tron Legacy code, which is like an upgraded version of Tron, and his uncompiled form, like he's not active, he's dormant. And yeah, we have to find the Tron Legacy code, and it's like, gee, I wonder where the title of the movie sequel came from. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, do you think like Tron Legacy affected the interest in the killer app mod, like not negatively necessarily but also positively? Do you think it like brought people back to Tron 2.0 at all?
To a degree, especially at first when Tron Legacy was announced, not when it was released, but when it was announced. People were looking for anything Tron they could find, basically. And that's when interest in the mod and Tron 2.0 shot up like through the roof, you know? I remember on my YouTube channel looking at the stats, the statistics for my videos, and they suddenly went, into the stratosphere at that time. But then after the announcement and by the time the movie actually released, it was more mild, the interest. They got it out of their system. They played the game when the announcement was made about Tron Legacy, and then by the time Tron Legacy actually hit theaters, there was a lot less interest. And then, of course, Tron Evolution released, so people were playing that. And so, yeah, I mean, again, at first there was a spike when it was announced, the sequel, but by the time the film actually made it to theaters, I mean, there was still interest, but nowhere near as much.
And do you think the have you noticed the same happening for Tron Ares? Because like obviously, I would consider myself part of that, because with Tron Ares coming out, I had the idea to do this video, and it brought me to Tron 2.0.
Yeah, a little bit. I would say that's the case again. Yes, that's true. But I don't think as much as Legacy. When Legacy was announced, oh my God, when I saw the stats on my videos and so on, and I saw the number of playthroughs coming out of Tron 2.0, and it was just astronomical. But this time around, yeah, there's definitely a spike, but I don't think it's been as high as last time. At least not so far. Maybe that'll change with maybe it'll be different this time. It'll be the reverse, where when Tron Ares actually releases in theaters, there'll be a huge spike, but I'm not sure.
With Disney kind of abandoning it, how much do you think the mod helped to keep Tron 2.0 relevant?
Oh boy, if I answer that question, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be accused of stroking my ego. Okay. Um, I would say that the mod did help Tron 2.0 to keep interested in it alive. I would say that. To what extent, I'm not sure, like how much, but I would say it did. But then, based on what you just told me about all the playthroughs that are on YouTube right now, I guess it did. I guess it did help to, and that was the goal. That was the goal to introduce upgrades for the game in this form and try to keep it going, try to keep the interest going.
One thing I was wondering was, I mean, outside of the little call you had with the producer, did you ever have any communication from like anyone at Monolith, even if it's just like, hey, congrats on your work, just anything?
Mm. Yeah, I did. I did. I've had communications in the past with two other employees from Buena Vista or Disney. The senior quality assurance manager of the game, and also another quality assurance tester, although I haven't had contact with him for a long time. But I could still get in contact with Dave Tron. That's the nickname he goes by on the internet. I could still contact him if I need to, if I want to discuss something with him. The producer, on the other hand, I have no idea what's happened to him. I've lost contact with him a long time ago. And then with Monolith Productions, yeah, I've been in touch with how many employees? At least three, I think.
Cool.
There's the lead programmer of the game, Kevin Lambert. I've chatted with him. I even did an interview with him, It's on my YouTube channel.
Do you wanna plug
I've
that real
chatted.
quick?
Yeah. If you search for LDSO on YouTube, you'll find my channel, and then you can watch. It's the latest video at the moment. Interview with Kevin Lambert, the lead programmer of TRON 2.0, and I did briefly chat with the lead animator on the game. Oh, why is his name blanking right now? This is so embarrassing. I can't remember his name at the moment. And also, I did speak to a fellow named Dan Miller a long time ago who worked at Monolith, and he was the lead designer of the Disc Arena multiplayer maps. So
Cool.
I chat. It was just by email. I did like a text interview with him. Kevin Lambert was the first time that I actually spoke, over voice chat with a Monolith employee. So that was fantastic.
Hmm. And how is it that that kind of came to be?
Oh, okay. How did that go exactly? Oh, yeah. He had a page on his website, like he has a personal website, and he has a page on it talking about his time at Monolith and working on Tron 2.0. And he issued a challenge to anyone who was still interested in the game. About originally there was supposed to be a feature in Tron 2.0 where when you finished a light cycle map, like a light cycle race, and won, you would end up having to go through a maze, like a tunnel, and you'd have to survive it. Like you'd have to make quick snap turns going through this maze, this tunnel to reach the end. So the game would put you into first person mode, just like in the film, and you'd be going through the tunnel and you'd have to survive, make it to the end. And that didn't get in the game. They didn't have time to put it in. So he said, if anyone can do something like that, I challenge you to do it. So I said, okay, I'm going to take up that challenge. And I made a video about it. That's
Cool.
also on my LDSO YouTube channel. How did I title it? I think challenge from Kevin Lambert, answering the Kevin Lambert's challenge. And yeah, I made it so that the light cycle goes into first person mode and goes through a maze, just like he proposed to put in the game. So I took advantage of a feature that had been implemented for that, but it wasn't used because they ran out of time.
Did he see it and then you were able to get into contact with him through that?
Right. Exactly. Yes. I made the video, and then I he had a Twitter or X account. I contacted him. I said, "Okay, I answered your challenge. Here it is. Here's the video. Here's the proof." And then he saw it, and he was like, "Yes! Like this is awesome. This is great." And that's how I got to know him. I got to chat with him.
I do want to ask though about Monolith in general. Like, what do you think about what's happened to Monolith?
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. That's so unfortunate that Monolith is now closed. Monolith
Yeah,
Productions. They closed earlier this year.
yeah.
I think it was in February, if I remember right.
In the middle of
Yeah. Well,
developing.
yeah, the Wonder Woman game.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I hate to say it, but I kind of saw the writing on the wall.
yeah,
I kind of thought this would happen. Because first of all, they've only been doing movie license properties for Warner Brothers, who owned them. Warner Brothers bought Monolith a long time ago, and they only had them working on properties having to do with Warner Brothers, like the um, Lord of the Rings, right? Those games, the
yeah.
Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, and now they were going to do a Wonder Woman game again, just based on the Warner Brothers property. And I thought to myself, well, if this is all they're going to do now, then what happens when Warner Brothers loses interest in maintaining Monolith Productions' existence,
Yeah.
and they're not going to be working on anything else anymore. So I kind of saw that. And then when I saw how troubled the development of the Wonder Woman game was, because they were not releasing anything, no videos, no nothing, basically. It was radio silence for years. So I kind and then also they did a 25th anniversary celebration back in 2019, and a number of Monolith employees left at that time. And I
Right.
was thinking to myself back then already, it's like, do they know something, that's coming up that we don't, you know? And I'm afraid that's probably what the case was. They already knew the direction the company was going in, that it probably wouldn't be around for too much longer. So they decided to leave at that time, on a high note, 25th anniversary, celebrating their success. And they were very successful. They made some great games, not just Tron 2.0. They made No One Lives Forever, Aliens versus Predator 2, Condemned, Fear, and of
Yeah.
course Shadow of War. They were all great successes. So, yeah, I was so sad to hear that they'd shut down. It's like, really? I mean, I kind of knew it was coming, like I said, but really, it actually happened?
Yeah.
I'm still in disbelief.
And I guess like it's also apparent from the way they dealt with oh, what was it called? Was it the Nemesis system in the Shadow of War games?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, where they just kind of patented it and never actually used it again.
That's right. That's that's terrible. Implement or they created this system and patented it so nobody else could use it, and now they're gone. So now if anybody wants to make a game with that kind of a system again, they can't for not for years until the patent expires, unless they renew it. And it's so sad, so tragic.
I guess going back to, I guess not specifically Monolith, but also modding, what role do you think modding plays in terms of the life cycle of a video game?
Well, I do think it does have a big impact, or at least it did in the past. I'm not so sure about now. And the reason why I say that is because you were alluding to it earlier, that the companies who make the games these days, they are very much against it. They don't want people to modify their games, and they don't support them. And in fact, they send out cease and desist orders sometimes to stop them. So yeah, modding is under siege basically these days from a lot, not all of them, but from a lot of publishers. They don't like it, and they don't want fans modifying their games. They're discouraging it every chance they get.
Hmm.
Well, okay, maybe I shouldn't say that. Not most publishers, but some. Some of them just don't like it. Some encourage it still, but there's some that just despise it, or so it seems.
And where do you think this kind of shift in, I guess, attitude from the companies is coming from?
Okay, I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for saying this, but I think it had to do with the shift to console gaming.
Hmm.
Up until about 2005, I guess, with the introduction of the Xbox 360, PC gaming was more popular. It's still popular, but it was more popular back then. And the developers and the publishers were more amenable. They were more open to letting you modify the games. But then once they started shifting their focus to like the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 and publishing their games there as the priority, then I guess they started to get used to the idea of, hey, we can control everything about the game and we don't have to open it up to let anyone do modding. Now I understand that these days there is kind of a modding scene on consoles to a degree. The publishers are allowing mods that are developed on PC to be used on the console versions of their games. Like for example, Fallout and Skyrim, I think too. I'm not sure, but definitely Fallout. I know that. And once console gaming started to become more popular, that's when the publishers started to say to themselves, why are we bothering with this, allowing people to mod when we can control it and put out DLC, and put out microtransactions, and we can nickel and dime the players for all this stuff that people would be offering for free, as add-ons, as mods or maps or cheats or whatever. Why should we let people have it for free when we can charge for it? That seems to be what happened, in my opinion.
I mean, it tracks with the whole kind of like if you look just at Bethesda, the whole creation engine aspect.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and the creation store, as they call it, right?
yeah, yeah,
And they tried to start charging for mods at one point, I think.
yeah, yeah.
Actually, they still do. They still do, but it's voluntary. It's up to the mod creator whether they want to charge for it or give it away for free.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
but they want to monetize it.
I guess
Yeah,
yeah,
so that seems to be what's happening.
yeah. It's a bit sad, especially when you consider like how much. Even if you just look at like more concentrated examples, like let's say you only looked at Doom mods, and then you consider how much Doom mods alone have done for the industry.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I
Yeah,
guess,
there's total conversions for Doom and all that stuff. Yeah,
yeah, and I'm struggling to think of examples, but I'm pretty sure there are like franchises that have stemmed from just Doom mods.
I'm pretty sure that's the case. And wasn't Team Fortress a mod from
Yeah,
Valve?
yeah,
It started out as a mod, and then they adopted it. They took them on the modding team and created Team Fortress 2 as like a professionally published game. But it started out as a mod.
I could be mistaken, but isn't that also what happened with Portal? Or maybe like a similar situation?
Kind of. They were students in a school who created a game, and Valve saw it and they said, "Hey, there's some potential there." So they adopted it and turned it into a real, like, wow, a real game. Geez, what am I saying? That's insulting. I shouldn't say that. Turned it into a published game,
Yeah.
and, yeah, it started out as a student's project. So yeah, same kind of
Cool.
thing, basically.
Going back to the killer app mod, let's say you had unlimited resources, knowledge, and time. Like, what would the ultimate edition, kind of the end game edition of the killer app mod be for you?
Oh wow, okay. Uh, let's think about that for a second. I would love to add new multiplayer modes, but that's like almost impossible at this point. Like even after all this time, I just don't see how it can be done without the source code to the game, which is not available. So
Mm.
yeah, new like for example, in the original film when Flynn is playing that game against Crom with the scoops on their hands and the ball.
Yeah,
I believe that the actual name for that game is called Hyali. I think that's how it's pronounced. But in one of the interviews from Steven Lisberger, he basically said it's Pong.
yeah.
He won't officially call it that, but it's Pong. So it was inspired by Pong, the arcade game. And so that game mode, I'd love to add that to the multiplayer of Tron 2.0, where you're throwing the ball back and forth. And also, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, the team capture type. That was in the Xbox version. They added a new team capture mode where you would invade like the your opponent's fortress, and try to take it over. And I would love to have a mode like that, but it's difficult to do with the PC version with the way it's designed. It's difficult to really capture the flag or capture the fortress type of game. But I would love that because then everybody would be cooperating as a team for an objective,
Mm.
and that's not currently in the multiplayer of Tron 2.0. It's all about one-on-one combat, and I would love to have like a team focused like type of multiplayer mode, something like that. And beyond that, well, right now I can't think of anything. That would have been the main things, adding multiplayer modes. Everything else that I wanted to try and implement, I think we're going to be able to. Oh wait, there was one other thing. The um, the extra maps, multiplayer maps that were released for the Xbox version. Would have loved to have recreated them for the PC version,
Mm.
so people would have extra multiplayer maps, but that's really tough to do too. So those two things I would say, and everything else, I think we're going to accomplish what we set out to do, more or less. Like the new weapons was a challenge, but we're going to be able to do it. I mean, we've already got them working. It's just that they're not fully implemented yet. Like, for example, I want in single player for the player to have new subroutines for those weapons, right? Like when you go to the subroutine screen, that you have like actual subroutines you can drag into your library to activate them. That's not done yet, but I should be able to do it. So I want that, that you can actually use the weapons in single player and upgrade to them, like drag the subroutines into your memory and activate them and start using them. So I want to be able to do that rather than just have the weapons just suddenly appear and you can use them.
Mm.
That's not a great implementation. So I still have to work on that, the subroutines.
And I guess with the mod being called Killer App and the Xbox version also being called Killer App, um, like was the Xbox version? Because it seems like you're taking a lot of features that were in that. So was that a big inspiration? And um, yeah, did you kind of use that as a foundation?
I did. That's true, yes. But it's not the only reason it's called Killer App. There's two other reasons. One is, as I mentioned earlier on, the game was originally going to be called Tron Killer App
Mm.
when it was first going to be released, and they changed that to Tron 2.0. But the Killer App moniker or subtitle is like a nod back to the original title of the game of what it was going to be. And of course, as we know, they did end up using it after all. You know, they released Tron 2.0 Killer App, both the Xbox and Game Boy versions. So they did use that title later. And yeah, again, that's definitely a major inspiration. The Xbox version, like the new features that we're implementing in the mod soon in the upcoming versions. But another reason for it, I guess, and maybe I'm being arrogant here, but you seem to be confirming what I thought is that we wanted this mod to basically be a killer app, if you know that term, where it's such an essential app or program that you want to use it. And it seems that that's coming true, that that's the case, that people are using it a lot with the game. So yeah, that was another reason we called it Killer App.
Yeah, and I guess with like what you were saying about even something as I guess subtle as the effects with the light cycle that were in the trailers but not the final product. I guess is this kind of your way of being like, okay, we're kind of executing the original plan for the game the way it was supposed to be.
Right, yes, I think so. Yes, I think that's a lot of what we're trying to do here because, like you said, in some of the trailers, you could see some things that got left out. And it's clear that they wanted to, they just didn't have enough time. I found out later about how rushed they were, that they were struggling to meet they were already late. It was supposed to be released in March of 2003, the game, but they got an extension. And that's actually partly Buena Vista or Disney's own fault because they made an extra demand on them that they wanted more light cycle gameplay, and that's how that extra single player light cycle mode got added, like outside of the campaign. Like you can just play light cycles on its own in single player, and that got thrust on them kind of at the last minute, and it's like, wow, we're not going to be able to meet our deadline if you want that. And then Disney said, or Buena Vista, they said, okay, we'll give you more time. So yeah, they were rushing to meet their new deadline of August, and they did meet it, and the game turned out quite fantastic. But there were little things that they didn't manage to get in there, and for example, the trail and the spokes on the classic life cycle, that was one of them. Yeah.
If you're still actively working on the game or the mod, the answer is going to be yes. But do you still play Tron 2.0 just kind of recreationally to this day?
Actually, no,
Oh, okay.
not much. No, I'm so busy modding it that the only time I play it is when I'm testing things.
Right.
In terms of actually recreationally playing it, no, actually, I haven't for a while. I do plan to when I'm finished. I want to play through it again with the new features, and see how the experience goes. It's like a full continuous playthrough because I've tested portions of the game. I played, with certain things, testing them in a small portion of the game, but it's just so jarring, to play a little bit here, a little bit there. I want to play it, all the way through from beginning to end once I complete the work. Yeah.
Like, is this next update or patch going to be, do you think, like, the final one, or is it just the next one? Like, do you
No,
think.
no. The one that's coming out soon, like I said, hopefully by the time Tron Ares releases in theaters, it's actually scaled back from what it was supposed to be,
Hmm.
because certain things still aren't finished yet. I was going to introduce a version 1.2, and that's not what this is going to be. It's going to be version 1.1b. So basically, that just tells you that it's like an interim, like a bump from what the previous version was. Now, mind you, it will have a lot of new features, a lot of improvements, but the actual version I wanted to release was 1.2. and 1.2 is the big one, that has like everything or almost everything that I was hoping to put in the game. And that is still a while off. Like I just posted recently on social media, our LDSO social media accounts, like on Twitter and on Facebook, that that's coming in like the winter of 2025, 2026. But this upcoming version, the next version is again, we're aiming for Tron Ares release in theaters at that time.
Yeah, with that, do you have any sort of relationship with other Tron media? Like, because you've talked a bit about uh, how when you first watched Tron when you were a kid, but then I guess with the comics, with the other games, including the new one with Legacy, Uprising, even.
Oh yeah, I've seen them all. Um, and a particular standout for me was Tron Uprising. I love that.
Mm,
I thought that Uprising was what Tron really should have been aiming for as a franchise. Like I like Tron Legacy, but I don't love it. I'm sorry to say, I don't love Tron. I like it. It's good. It's just not quite what I was hoping it would be. But Tron Uprising, on the other hand, that was excellent. That
mm.
was great. And I wish we had more of it. I wish it hadn't been canceled and we got a season two. I was so bummed out when it turned out that they weren't going to make any more episodes. I was,
Yeah, and I saw the either the writer or director, um, because after the season two got cancelled, they planned on making a film which also got cancelled, and he ended up releasing some pages from the script.
that's right. Yeah. There was supposed to be a cameo of Daft Punk in Tron Uprising in that proposed film.
Really, I
That would
had
have been
no
amazing.
idea.
Yeah, they were going to have animated versions of Daft Punk showing up in Tron Uprising in that proposed film. It was supposed to be like a bridge between season one and season two, that film, and that would have been amazing.
I feel like the whole franchise, there's just so much, just like uh, so many missed opportunities for greatness.
Definitely, absolutely, I agree,
Mm,
100%. They have not handled the franchise as well as they could have by a long shot.
yeah, and I guess yeah, with considering that, I'm very curious. What are your thoughts on Tron Ares?
Oh, to be honest, I haven't seen the trailer yet. Yeah, I know I'm a terrible fan for not seeing it yet. I've seen what they posted on social media, like bits and pieces of it, little clips, preview clips. And for what I've seen so far, I'm not sure.
Hmm.
I'm kind of have mixed feelings. On the one hand, I'm glad they're doing another sequel, and visually it looks fantastic. But from what I've heard about the story, I'm not that enthused because a lot of the movie is supposed to take place in the real world, not so much in the grid, like the electronic world, digital world, and that's kind of disappointing. And they've done it for budgetary reasons. It was to cut the budget to make the film cheaper to make. So I get it, it's expensive to make the digital world, electronic world, but that's the part everybody really wants to see, I
Yeah,
think. I think most fans would agree that that's what they want to see. They want to see action on the grid, in the computer and not in the real world. And I know that, well, am I spoiling things here? I guess everybody well, almost everybody except me has seen the Tron Ares trailer by now, but the characters, the programs from the digital world are coming into the real world. And so, in a sense, you are getting that. You're getting digital effects, CGI and stuff and cool stuff in the real world. But I don't know. And then what I've heard of the story, it's like, I don't know. The programs coming into the real world who want to like try and exist permanently in the real world and maybe even ambitions of taking over. There was a rumor about that,
hmm.
like it was Clue in Tron Legacy. He wanted to take over the world, basically. That was the plot, right?
Yeah,
So, and it's like, I don't know about this, the taking over the world thing. That doesn't sound that great. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they've deviated from that. Maybe it's not going to be exactly what I think, from what the rumors said. Maybe it'll be more exciting than I think it will. But from what I've seen so far, looks cool. I look forward to another sequel. but I'm not so sure about the story if it's going to be as good as I hope. And also, I don't, unless it's like a brief cameo, I don't think we're going to see Sam Flynn or Quora or even Alan Bradley, Bruce
Yeah.
Boxleitner. I don't think we're going to see any of them except maybe for the briefest of cameos. Maybe they'll briefly appear for a few seconds here or there, but that's going to be it, and that's disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we
It's
do get Kevin Flynn.
yeah. At least we get that, and he's like a strange Force Ghost looking version of Kevin Flynn. I guess if you haven't seen the trailer,
Yeah, I wonder what's up with that.
yeah. But
Yeah, is he still alive, or is that like a program version of him, kind of, sorta, or what?
yeah.
Combine Clue and Flynn? I don't know. I don't know.
And it just feels odd to make something called Tron, and so far at least there is no indication of Tron even being in it.
That's exactly right. You're right. So far, there's been absolutely no hint that Tron will appear in Tron Ares. None
Yeah,
whatsoever.
I mean it's half the title.
I mean, it could be a surprise. They could be holding it back as a surprise, and when you go see it in theaters, it's like, oh, finally, we get to see Tron again. At one brief little scene. But I don't know. Is that great? I mean, it's just a cameo. I mean, come on. He should be prominently featured, not just a guest in his own franchise, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and then it makes it feel weird that
Yeah.
they didn't, like, they revealed Kevin Flynn
Yeah,
yet.
right. Why did they hold that back then? If they're holding back Tron, Bruce Boxleitner being in, why didn't they also hold back Kevin Flynn?
Yeah,
Yeah, Jeff Bridges. I don't know.
I'm very confused by the whole marketing strategy, but it is what it is.
Same here. And then, like I said earlier, they released the game months before the movie appears in theaters. Why did they do that?
Yeah,
Why not release the game at the same time as the film? Because the film will create hype for the game. And now it's too late. Now the game's already okay. Sure, I guess when people go to see Tron Ares, they'll go, "Is there a game?" And they'll go looking for it. Okay, I guess. But releasing at the same time would have been, it would have had so much more synergy, so much more impact. I don't understand that decision. That's just strange.
yeah, and I feel like now, because it's been long enough since Tron Legacy that there's even nostalgia towards that. So I feel like now when people talk about Tron Legacy, they do also mention nostalgia for Tron Evolution. And as much as there's kind of that Venn diagram of people who love both, there's also people who love each separate one.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that there is nostalgia now for Tron Legacy, for example, When they see Tron Ares, it's like, okay, that looks cool, I guess, but boy, I sure miss, Sam and Cora, and they're probably not going to be in it. And I miss, because Tron Catalyst was like a top-down isometric game where you're
Yeah.
driving around and having an adventure, but it wasn't really an action game so much. I
Mm.
mean, I don't own it yet. I'm sorry to say, again, I'm embarrassing myself. I don't have the game yet.
Me neither.
I do plan to get it. Don't worry. I just don't have it yet. I'm waiting for a sale. Yes, I'm a penny pinching bastard. I'm waiting for it to go on sale before I buy it. But yeah, it looks cool, but it's a top-down isometric adventure game, and it's not an action game, and I think that's what people really want. Basically, they want something like Evolution or Tron 2.0, but a new game like that, and maybe with more multiplayer, like what's the term I'm looking for? Massively online multiplayer type of game. That's what they're
Yeah.
looking for with Tron.
Yeah.
So, and they haven't done it. They still haven't
Which
done it.
feels so confusing. It's like it's such. I mean, it's kind of right there, isn't it?
Yeah. Or a VR game. They haven't
Yeah.
done that either.
Yeah. I
It's like,
saw.
come on, guys. Have been asking for it for years. It's such an obvious thing, and they haven't done it.
And that's the strange thing, because like yeah, I saw someone. The PlayStation Dreams thing.
Yeah.
I saw someone
Yeah, I
made
saw that
a
that Tron
game.
Hyper Arena or something like that.
Yeah,
I can't remember the name of it.
and that looked incredible.
Yeah. And that's exactly what people want in a new game,
Mm.
and they're not doing it.
And I was also surprised.
I get it. It's budget. It's budget. They don't want to spend a lot of money on it right now. I get it.
I guess also with Tron Legacy. I mean, not only the fact that it wasn't financially successful technically, but also the fact that it was a
Right.
first time director and they spent so much. I think it was like 250 million at the time.
Yes, yes. Yeah, Disney is still afraid to invest too much money into Tron because they don't expect, that much of a reaction. They don't expect it to do necessarily that well. I'm sure it'll do well, Tron Ares. It'll be fine. It'll make its money back and probably generate a profit. But they want it to be like a big blockbuster, basically. That's what they want. But they can never commit themselves to it. They
Yeah,
don't spend the money. They don't put in the effort. They just kind of, I'm sorry to say it, they kind of do it half-assed, you know and but they want it to be a big success anyway. They want it to be a block. They just want to do little work for a big return with
yeah,
Tron. Basically, is what they're doing. And if it's a blockbuster Tron Ares, then they'll suddenly, oh, okay, now let's invest more in it. We'll make more games, bigger budget games, make a bigger budget sequel again. But for now, they just don't want to commit themselves, and it's sad. I
yeah.
want Tron Ares to succeed. I'm excited, and I want you guys to be
Of
excited about it,
course.
but my expectations are tempered, by their
Yeah,
past behavior, their past history.
yeah. I feel like it's kind of like a being a Tron fan is like an abusive relationship,
It is. That's exactly what it's like.
but they clearly spent a lot at least on the Nine Inch Nails soundtrack. They're advertising the shit out of that.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice, but am not entirely surprised by the choice because they've had Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails do music for them before in previous Disney films. So basically, they're just tapping him again to do it. Like, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Soul from Pixar.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails did music for that film.
Really?
And it is so, yeah, it is so out of character from what they traditionally do, but he did an excellent job. It's like this ethereal, like um dreamy kind of soundtrack for that film, as you might expect based on the plot,
Mm.
about the character basically passing away and going to the afterlife. And it's all very dreamy and easy listening kind of music, like new age kind of, if you know that genre of
Mm.
music, new age style. That's what Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails did for that film, like a new age soundtrack, and that's so different from what they normally do. But he did an excellent job. So that's why when they picked him for Tron Ares, it's like, yeah, I can see that based on what he did on Soul. He can do that kind of like new age. Well, maybe not so much new age, but more techno. Industrial. He can do that.
Yeah, definitely. And like recently, I think the last film I watched that had them doing the soundtrack was Challengers, and that I remember, like as soon as the first song started, I was like, "Damn, this shit sounds like Tron."
I haven't seen that, so but I believe you. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised at all that they picked him to do this. It's too bad about Daft Punk, but unfortunately they
Yeah,
broke up. They're not active anymore. So, but Nine Inch Nails will be a good replacement, I'm sure.
yeah. I mean, we can hope. Have you heard the single they've released?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you should
Oh,
check it
sorry.
out.
I've been off social media for the most part for a while. I've been extremely busy. I've been trying to get this mod project, updated and released in time for the movie. It's just unfortunately, I've got a lot going on in my personal life right now that's difficult,
Mm.
so I don't have a lot of time for hobbies and stuff. So I've stayed off social media in order to spend more time on those other things. And because of that, I'm a little bit behind the curve. Like I haven't seen the Tron Ares trailer yet. Yeah, shoot me. Uh, and I haven't heard what you're talking about either. You know what? I should do it right after I'm done talking to you. I should go look at these things. Damn
Yeah.
it, I'm a Tron. I should be looking at these things.
But yeah, that's actually it for all the questions I have. Is there anything else you
That's
wanted to
great.
talk about?
No, not really. I think I covered just about everything. Interjected a few little things here and there, like about how I'm, excited for the sequel and so on.
Mm.
And yeah, I think I've covered. I even mentioned about how they wanted to advertise Tron 2.0 in theaters at one point, and for some reason it never happened.
Yeah, I
That's a
never
little
even knew about
anecdote
that.
I wanted. Yeah, yeah, it's so disappointing that they didn't do it. They even made trailers, like for the theater. They made trailers that they could have played and they chose not to.
Hmm.
That's what I heard, is they actually made trailers and they
That's
never used them.
that would be
Why? I
really
have no
cool.
freak. Yeah, They could have advertised it in front of their movies, what the heck was playing in theaters at the time back in 2003 from Pixar. Well, a year later was The Incredibles. They could have advertised in front of The Incredibles. Can you imagine
That would have
how
been
much attention it would
amazing.
have gotten? Yeah, so it's I don't know. I don't understand. I don't
But
understand Disney. I'm sorry. They make some strange decisions sometimes.
at least it's weirdly comforting to know that they've always been like that, and it's not just like a recent thing with
Yeah.
like necessarily with Star Wars and Marvel, although
Yeah,
it's
I think
worsened.
for yeah. Yeah, for the last couple of decades at least, they've been like this. Back in the 70s and 80s, I don't know if you know this, but Disney nearly went bankrupt back then. They nearly went out of business.
Yeah, I actually discussed this in my
And
video.
yeah, and back then, I guess because they were worried about going out of business, they were willing to try anything in terms of like movie releases and stuff like that. That's how we got Tron in the first place, because they were willing to take a risk on it. They wanted to have something totally out there, totally different and new, and it was. And unfortunately for them, it wasn't as successful as they wanted it to be. Again, expectations were set sky high. But at any rate, they were willing to take risks back then and support projects. Like the Black Hole. I don't know if you remember that film or have ever seen it.
Yeah.
That was like uh, their take on Star Wars. It was, and you know what? I like that film, even though it's kind of goofy and cheesy. I like it.
Mm.
So, and they were willing to take a risk on it back then. They fully supported it, and now it's like this half-hearted, half-assed. Like, yeah, okay, we're gonna release another sequel to Tron, but we're gonna release the game months in advance and not at the same time as the film for the synergistic marketing. And well, okay, I'll give them credit for the trailers and the teasing of the film. They've done a good job on that. Like they've been teasing the shit out of Tron Ares
Hmm.
on social media and on YouTube. I'll give them credit for that, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen when the film actually releases, how much they're going to support it. They're doing a good job now. Will they keep it up once it's in theaters? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing, because with Legacy, there was the comic, the game,
Mhm.
and a TV show.
Right, and they also did this online marketing, like this alternate reality game stuff. Where you could participate. You could participate in games online, and you could go hunting for like for swag. In the real
Cool.
world, they did that. Where you could find like they give you hints where to find something, and it would be like a coin, like a token for Flynn's Arcade. Remember Flynn's Arcade? They did that too.
Oh,
A
I've
real Flynn's
seen.
Arcade.
Yeah, I've seen like people post pictures of the coins.
They did that. They did the lanyard, that they wore in the film, like the one in the lab when they were at NCOM and the lab that these lanyards that identified them as NCOM employees. They made
Hmm.
replicas of those for the fans. You could put on a lanyard and show that you're an NCOM employee. In other
Hmm.
words, a fan of Tron. So they had the real life Flynn's Arcade back then. They had alternate reality, or what did I augmented reality?
Yeah,
I can't
ARG.
remember the yeah, and then they also had the Space Paranoids game. They released that at the time the Tron Legacy was out online. The Space Paranoids game where you could play that.
Hmm.
Get a real version of the Paranoids game from the original Tron film. So they did all that, and I'm not seeing that now with Tron Ares.
Yeah.
Yes, they're doing a good job with the trailers and stuff, but where's the rest of it? It's not there.
Yeah, it feels like a strange way. Like, I especially just alone compared to how they've kind of marketed everything else, it does feel weirdly lackluster.
Yes, yeah, I agree. It's been kind of lackluster, I'm sorry to say. Again, they're doing a good job teasing it, I guess, but where's all the other stuff they did for Tron Legacy? They haven't done it unless they're waiting till the last minute. Maybe, who knows? They'll surprise us. But something tells me no, because if they would have done it, they would have done it already.
Yeah.
It should be happening now, and it's not. So that tells me that they're not going to do it. Basically, it's just trailers, and we have a game that's already out, and that's about it. That's how what it seems like. Oh, and I guess the soundtrack that'll probably generate a lot of attention. The Nine Inch Nails soundtrack,
Yeah.
when, I
That's
guess it already
coming.
is.
I think that's coming like middle or late September, so it's actually coming a couple weeks before the film.
Right, yeah. So that'll probably generate quite a bit of attention. I grant them that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the alternate reality game stuff and so on, that they're just not doing it
Mm.
like they did with Tron Legacy. Not there. How about at Disneyland and Disney World, with the Tron, well, okay, it's just Disney World because it's in Florida.
Yeah.
The roller coaster. Where's the tie-in for Tron Ares there? Is there
Yeah.
any right now? I don't think so.
Yeah, I watched a video of that and it
Very
was
little
just
going
like legacy.
They
But
don't seem to be doing anything.
yeah, I feel like that's a weird, uh, like almost cynical trend that has been just industry wide. Because, like, in the 2010s in general, this marketing was a lot more common, mainly from Disney, where they would kind of go all out with a
Yeah,
bunch of different, like, individual types of products to market instead of just like trailers and posters around.
yeah, that's right. You're right, exactly. They did it with the roller coaster. They put out some new merchandise to promote the coaster, but since then, basically next to nothing.
Yeah. And I feel
Oh,
like,
okay, there is the Hasbro toys. I forgot about that. Those are
yeah,
supposed to be coming.
yeah, I saw the teas.
Yeah, so there's that, I guess. But beyond that, I'm struggling. And the Nine Inch Nails soundtrack, but beyond that, I'm struggling to think of anything else that they're doing
I feel like
other than marketing it.
one thing that does have me a little worried is with the new kind of shot for shot remake of How to Train Your Dragon. I remember seeing an interview with Dean DeBlois, the director, where he says no longer, like, gone are the days of using a roller coaster to market a film. Now you make a film to market the
Oh,
roller coaster.
oh, really?
Yeah. So
Okay, that's an interesting quote in light of what's happened with Tron, the way they've
yeah.
handled it.
Yeah, it's that
Okay.
has had me quite worried.
Well, see, honestly, I expected when the roller coaster came to be, when it was completed and opened, that they would release a Tron film then. It's like, why didn't they
Yeah.
do it then? They waited a couple of years to get. I know there's been some drama behind the scenes, apparently, from what I understand, with the production team who were responsible for it. Like they changed plans, and I don't know.
Yeah.
It just didn't come together the way they hoped originally, and they had to make changes and stuff, and it's been a troubled production. But now they finally got it done.
But yeah, I think I think this has been a very interesting conversation.
Yeah, Disney Marketing 101, how to not properly market your franchise. Yeah,
Yeah, how to shoot your franchise in the foot.
exactly. They've done it time and again.
Hmm.
And they're even kind of doing it now with Marvel and Star Wars, kind of.
Yeah.
They're kind of screwing up there too. They've released some projects, especially with Star Wars, they've released some projects that people didn't like too much,
Yeah.
and that, reduced the interest in Star Wars now.
And I mean, even with Marvel, I feel like the past, like, the films that have come out this year have, other than Brave New World, have been actually very positively received, but still they're not making anywhere near as much money as they
Right.
were even like a year ago.
Yeah, the damage has been done. They've had too many Marvel MCU films that have not been great. I guess I could say that I actually was surprised by Thunderbolts. I actually thought that was quite good,
Mm.
personally. I thought it was quite good and was kind of a return to form. But yeah, Brave New World, on the other hand, I don't know.
Mm.
Didn't care for it. Yeah, so they kind of tarnished the MCU by releasing a number of lackluster films. So they've done it to Tron, and now they're doing it to Marvel and Star Wars too. Yeah,
I feel like every conversation I have about Tron reaches a certain point where whoever I'm speaking with, we both just kind of go, yeah. Uh,
unfortunately, I have to agree with you. I'm forced to agree with you. Yeah, at this point, it's like let's hope for the best. Let's hope the film is good and that it's more successful than they expect.
yeah.
because then they'll show renewed interest and they'll put more effort into it. But right now, this just feels like, okay, we'll have another go at it. Let's see what happens. That's basically their attitude, you know. And I guess it's partly because the MCU and Star Wars are floundering a little bit, you know, that they said, okay, let's see what else we got in the library here, properties that we, oh, Tron, okay, let's try that now. Let's go back to that and see if we can make a big hit with that, you know. That's what it feels like what they're doing and bring back the kids, you know, because Star Wars was big with kids, and I guess the MCU Marvel was also, I think, it was more adults leaning with Marvel, but still a lot of kids would watch those films too. But Star Wars in particular was for mainly, well, should I say mainly for kids? Is that I don't know.
I feel like, yeah,
A
just
lot of
by
adults like Star
nature.
Wars too, but
Yeah, but I think like by nature of it being kind of a space fairy tale, it would
yeah.
naturally attract a lot of children.
Yeah, and I guess with Tron, they're trying to attract kids again too. Oh, look at this! This is so cool, you know, with the recognizers and the light cycles, you know, and
Mm.
everything. Oh, they look so cool. They're trying to attract a younger audience again. So,
Which makes it so confusing because, like, I do agree with you, and then it makes it confusing because this is the first PG-13 Tron.
yeah, you're right. I just found that out recently, right? They're making it PG-13, which is like, okay, so they want to bring kids in, like little kids, basically. At least that's what they seem to be trying to do. But then on the other hand, there's scenes, I've seen some of the scenes that they showed in the footage that they've released where the characters are disintegrating, you know, derezzing in the
Yeah,
real world, you
it
know.
looks
And that's kind of,
horrifying.
yeah, it's horrific, you know, it's kind of horrific. It's like, geez. And they want little kids to watch this? It's
Yeah,
like no wonder they put a PG-13 rating on it, but then again, weren't you supposed to be trying to capture a younger audience? So this is confusing.
yeah, it's really one of the most confusingly marketed films in recent times for me.
I agree. Yeah, they've done a number of things that have just got me scratching my head. It's like, why are you doing this? I don't understand. Yeah. Well, again, I hope it's a success. I hope it does well. I hope it's better than I expect. Let's put it that way. I'm sorry. You know, a lot of people are probably going to be pissed at me for saying that. I hope it's better than my expectations for it are low. I don't expect that much from it. I hope it will be decent, you know, but I don't expect it to be great. But maybe it will be, and if that's the case, then I'll be ecstatic. I'll be overjoyed. That's great. But right now, my expectations are not very high.
Yeah, no, I'm in the exact same boat as you. I think the only thing that's got me slightly optimistic is the fact that I've I love Legacy enough that I've waited 15 years for this thing. So like if it's not good, I'm gonna be pissed off.
Yeah, yeah, and I didn't see. Well, I did actually see the original Tron in theaters, but I was so little, I can't even remember. I couldn't even remember anything of it. I had to watch it on DVD in order to properly watch it, to see it again and understand it.
Hmm.
And then from that point on, of course, you know, Tron 2.0, and then Tron Legacy and Evolution, and Tron Uprising, and the comics. I read those, and now, of course, we've got Tron Ares. But although I haven't played, I did play a little bit of Tron Identity, but I have not played Tron Cat because I don't own it yet. Like I said, I'm a cheap bastard. I'm waiting for the sale. Sorry, I will get it. Don't worry, I will buy it and
Yeah.
play it.
No,
So,
honestly, I'm exactly the same. I'm waiting for the sale, but it's kind of bad because I need it for the video and I want the video out before Tron Ares, so I'm kind of
right.
stuck in a position right now.
Yeah, I wonder when the next sale. It won't be until November, the big sale, will it?
Oh, Jesus.
At Thanksgiving. As I understand it, that's when they do their next big sale is Thanksgiving, right?
I think so, yeah.
In the States. That's Thanksgiving is in November in the States, and that's when they're going to do it. Their big sale, and that's probably when Troncalis will go on discount for the first time, unless they do a surprise sale. Disney has done it on occasion. They have a surprise sale where all their games are on sale.
Hmm.
So I guess on Steam is where we're talking about right now, right?
Yeah.
Although probably it'll also be on sale on other platforms too, like the Switch and the consoles, PlayStation 5 and Xbox One X. Yeah, so I'm sure it'll go on sale there eventually too, but probably on Steam first. That's where it most often starts with the PC version,
Yeah.
and probably not till November though. I'm afraid. But who knows? Maybe they'll do a flash sale before the movie comes out to move it, to sell copies, and then I'll be right there. I'll be buying it.
Yeah, a man can dream.
Yeah, I guess we're at the point now where we're saying hope for the best, but um, not too encouraged by what Disney has been doing.
Yeah, hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Yes, yes, I'm sorry to say. Yeah, I'm sure your listeners are gonna hate me and might even be mad at you.
Yeah, because I'm
But
agreeing.
how I feel. Yeah, that's how I feel right now. So again, I hope for the best. I want it to be good.
Yeah, I think this has been great then. I feel like this is a good point
Okay,
to
yeah,
end it off.
yeah, probably a place to wrap it up. Yeah.
Do you have
So
like
yeah,
socials you want to shout out, plug, anything?
sure. You can find us on. I like to call it Twitter still. I guess I should call it X. Uh, it's underscore LDSO underscore. That's the account name. We post updates there, and also we have an account on Mastodon. And the reason why we have that on Mastodon is because unless you have an X account, a Twitter account, when you go to somebody's account on Twitter on their profile, it doesn't show the tweets in chronological order. It just shows you what it thinks is the most popular tweet that account made. And the problem is then you won't get to see the latest posts, like the latest updates.
Yeah.
So you have to have an account on Twitter in order to see the latest updates. So that's why we created this Mastodon account, because you don't need to be signed in there to see the posts in chrono. And we copy updates about our mod projects on there. So you can just go there. It's just LDSO without the underscores on Mastodon. You can look for that account there. We also have an account on Facebook. Again, it's just LDSO without the underscores. And of course, YouTube, if you do a search on YouTube for LDSO, you'll find our channel there too. So yeah, except for Twitter X, where it has to be underscore LDSO underscore, because for some reason LDSO was already taken at the time. I don't know who the heck took that. So we had to go with that, the underscores, unfortunately. So it's inconsistent with the rest. But yeah, just look for LDSO basically, and you'll find us.
Well,
Oh, and our website. How could I forget that?
yeah, true.
LDSO.net.
Thank you very much for joining and doing this interview.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. And yeah, it was a great conversation. Yeah, you're very knowledgeable.
Thank
You
you.
definitely know what you've done your research and you know what you're talking about for sure.
Thank you.
So, and that's great to see. Yeah, and I hope that your retrospective series does well, because it sounds like you're really on your game. And when you release your videos, you'll be, deep diving, it sounds like, into every aspect of the Tron franchise, and that's great.
Yeah,
And I'm glad to see it, because then
it's
not too many people have done like a really good retrospective.
yeah, I'm trying to like the reason it's taking so long is because my editing style is kind of I don't know, it's a lot. So I'm trying to make it at least unique.
You're a perfectionist, is what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah,
And the problem is, I'm the same way, and that's part of the reason why some of these things that I've been doing have been taking so long, is
yeah,
because I don't want to release it until it's as good as I can make it. And it also has to do with my personal life, lack of time and so on. But it's also I'm too much of a perfectionist in a way. I hate it when I release something and I've made a mistake, and then I see it, and it's like, oh God, no. And then I have to go and fix it later. I'm that OCD about it. You know what I mean?
yeah. This whole
So.
time I've been dreading that like I go back through the footage and there's like some audio issue.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess we're alike in that way, that we're trying to be professional amateurs. That's
Yeah,
the term I like. I'm a professional amateur. I'm not a professional, but I try to be. I try to act like one.
yeah. Fake it till you
So
make it.
exactly, exactly. All right. Well, it was great to talk to you, and it was a great, lively discussion. And thank you for inviting me again.
Yeah, thank you.
I look forward to the finished product whenever you release the video on this. I guess it's probably going to be a while, but I look forward to it definitely. And the rest of your retrospective. I'll keep an eye on your YouTube channel. I'll even subscribe to it
Oh,
and
thank
keep an eye
you,
on it.
thank you.
Yeah, I haven't been on YouTube much. I haven't been on social media much, but I'll definitely subscribe to your channel so that when I check my feed, my subscription feed, I'll see when you're posting videos.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. You're welcome.
All right, well,
Okay, then. I guess I'll go now and let you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you very much. And great talking to you. And let's chat again in the future, maybe.
Of course.